Welcome to Dishing Up Nutrition. Today, Brittany and I will be discussing how you can help your teen manage and even reduce their teenage acne breakouts. As dietitians, we'll focus on the food connection to acne and we'll give you some suggestions about ways to reduce those inflammatory foods in your teen's diet that may be contributing to that skin problem. We're also going to be sharing about some great tasting recipes that you and your teen can cook maybe together. I'm Melanie Beasley, and I've worked for over 30 years in the field of nutrition. I worked in many different settings over the years, including prisons and hospitals, churches, the military. And my current and favorite place to work for the past several years is at Nutritional Weight and Wellness. I love it because you get to see people get better.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's
isn't
the
it?
best. So for today's Dishing Up Nutrition podcast, my experience of being a mother of two daughters helps me understand skin health and how to eat to avoid acne. If you have a daughter or a son or even a grandchild with some acne, perhaps that this is so stressful for them. It's very distressing to get an outbreak time and again on their face. They can't control it. Maybe it's during a special event or a dance where they really want to look their best. And if you can relate to the stress and the embarrassment of acne, please stay tuned because we want to share some of the science about acne, but we also will be sharing some ideas, some tricks, some supplements on how a better diet can result in fewer outbreaks. So joining me today, you've heard her voice, is Brittany Vincent, who's also a registered and licensed dietitian. She's been working in the field of nutrition for the past 15 years. She's going to have 3 teenagers in about 10 years. It's coming.
Yep, I will be in the throes of it before you know it. And I have been here personally with acne. I struggled with it into adulthood, and
I forget about that.
yeah, it's
So
just
looking at
so...
you, your skin's perfect.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. But I get it. It's embarrassing. It really affects your self-esteem.
It feels like you have no control
Yeah,
over what your skin's
it
doing
really
too.
does.
Yeah.
It really does. And I wish I knew what I know now back then, of course, because I'm sure it could have really helped. But I want to start our show by sharing a request we had from a grandmother who listens to Dishing Up Nutrition. She said her grandson, who just turned 17, is so frustrated and upset with all the breakouts and blackheads he's getting in the last few months. She wanted to offer some help to him so that he could clear his face up. So she wrote, "My grandson is a star soccer player, a very good student, but because of the acne, he's starting to lose his self-confidence. He texted me asking for my help, so I am now asking for your help. What advice would a dietitian have for my grandson?"
I love this grandmother.
Yeah, it's so sweet, isn't
I wish
it?
I'd had this grandmother. Yeah.
And of course, as a dietitian, we look at food first, always.
Mm-hmm.
And thinking about what is he eating, what is he drinking that may be causing inflammation in his skin, leading to both the blackheads and the breakouts. And for all of you long-term listeners out there, does the word sugar come to mind right away? I'm sure it does. You are on the right path with sugar because eating a lot of sugar is going to cause acne. There's no getting around that.
And acne it's a flare gun that your body uses to say I'm inflamed. And what's
Yes.
the biggest inflammation maker is sugar.
Yep, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to dive into that today, talk about blood sugar levels, too much inflammation, and how that all affects acne.
I love that. And before we discuss foods that increase the risk of having acne, let's understand what is acne. I think we all know what it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Acne is an inflammatory response that occurs when facial pores get blocked. So acne is an inflammatory response mainly on the face, or it can be across the back. I've had clients where it's across the buttocks, the tops of their thighs, the backs of their thighs. Acne shows up as blackheads, whiteheads, and can even cause cystic acne or pimples that form deeper under the skin and can be very painful and embarrassing. And this was what my daughter had.
Yeah.
And to the point where she's had some scarring. She had to have surgery to remove one that wouldn't heal.
Oh, gosh.
It can really progress.
Yeah. And I used to get that cystic acne as well. And it is painful to the touch. So not only are you thinking about how it looks, but then it's uncomfortable too. And there are many different causes or contributing factors to acne, but it often occurs when people are in their teenage years. And it can happen too into adulthood. I think with women, it's more likely to happen as an adult than men. And we know that hormones can be a cause or a contributing factor. It's not always one cause for acne. And if it's hormonal, it's often on the jawline, the chin area, and frequently it is that deep cystic acne. And another cause could be poor gut health as well. Our skin's our largest organ. So if we have inflammation in our gut, that can just manifest out through our skin. But the beauty of focusing on food first is if you do have imbalanced hormones, eating real food is going to help to rebalance them. If you have poor gut health, eating real food is going to help to heal your gut. And
Which has
so,
benefit in so many other areas
Yeah.
besides the skin.
absolutely. Focusing on the food first makes so much sense for a variety of different reasons. As nutritionists, we know that many studies have shown a link between consuming highly processed foods, dairy products, especially milk, too much sugar, and causing acne. Let's look at the diet. Your team might ask, does sugar really cause acne? Might be wishful thinking, right?
I know a
And
lot of adults that would ask the same question.
that's so true. No teen probably wants to stop eating sugar or reduce it. So, explaining the connection between sugar and acne to make them understand. And I'm guessing once you start to do that, your teen is going to be willing to start to make some changes.
Yes.
Having acne is so motivating. And I find that many teens today, they really want to understand the science behind a health condition. They want to understand what causes that inflammation and how that causes acne. So, how do you explain that as a parent or as a nutritionist? When I'm working with a client who's struggling with acne, I often ask, have you noticed that you have more breakouts after you indulge in more sugar? And teenagers might not have made this connection,
Well,
but
especially because I don't think it's immediate. It's not like
yes,
I eat something and then 2 hours later have an acne breakout. It might
yep,
be the next day or even
totally.
2 days later.
Yep. Or if you're eating sugar every day, then it's hard to know. But I have had many adults tell me that if they eat more sugar, they have more breakouts.
Yeah.
It's absolutely a direct connection. And researchers have also made that connection between the relationship of acne and the amount of sugar that's consumed. There's more and more evidence suggesting that eating refined sugar can trigger an acne breakout. So it seems the more sugar a teen eats, the harder it is to have clear skin.
Let's think about this. You wake up in the morning and you have a bowl of cereal with sugar in
Mhm.
it. That cereal converts to sugar and then you
Yep.
put sugar on top of it. You go to school and possibly have a bag of chips and a sub sandwich or a sandwich. That bread converts to sugar. Those chips convert to sugar and
Yep.
then a soda on top of it. Sugar. Come home, again, maybe a bar, more chips, a quote unquote protein bar, which might be loaded
Mhm.
with sugar,
Mhm.
chocolate, and then dinner. Maybe it's pizza because you're on the run, you've got a
Yep.
lot of activities, and that's got sugar in the crust. And so it can be hidden forms of sugar.
Absolutely.
We're not talking about somebody who eats candy all day.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. Remembering that all carbohydrates break down to sugar.
Yep.
And if you start eating higher amounts of carbohydrates or sugar in the morning, you want more of it all throughout the day.
And it can create that energy slump. My
Mhm.
husband came home after he'd had a big bowl of pasta out with a friend, gluten free, but it was pasta, and he was exhausted.
Yeah.
He goes, I just don't know what's going on. I'm like,
Maybe what you ate.
maybe it could be that pasta. And then you tank because your
Yep.
sugar goes up and then it bottoms out.
Then you're crashing.
And
Yeah.
that's very inflammatory, which leads to acne.
Yep. Yeah. You mentioned earlier that acne is inflammation. It's inflammation of the skin manifesting out. And we know that sugar, like you said earlier, is one of the biggest contributors to inflammation. Explaining that to a teenager can be very motivating for them. And we completely understand it is not easy to give something up that tastes so good and it's so readily available, especially as a teenager.
And it's very social.
Yes.
So you go get a coffee with your friends, or you go get ice cream with your
Yep.
friends, or you go get a quote unquote healthy acai bowl.
Yep.
And it's all sugar.
Yep. Without a doubt.
It's hard.
You might start with asking them what they're willing to modify to improve their acne. And you'd probably be surprised that they are willing to start to change things.
I agree. And as a parent, I understand that it needs to be a decision from the teen. You can't make that decision for them. They have to experience enough clear skin and be free of enough acne to give up sugar. So when they see the results, that's very motivating. And as a mom and a dietitian, I understand. I personally have never struggled with acne, but I do know is that sugar creates that inflammation in the body, which can lead to things like back pain, joint pain. So excess sugar does not just cause acne, it causes many other types of inflammation in the body. So it's sad, but it's true. And also, when I'm working with a teenager, they tell me that they want to figure out how to solve their health problems for themselves. They're independent. They want to figure this out for themselves. Some of the things that I tell them to start with is the education process. And I start chatting with them about after a soccer game or maybe a baseball game, do you realize that a sports drink that is usually available contains even more than 10 teaspoons of sugar? I just ask them a question. Would it be possible to switch to filtered water, maybe put some fruit in there in place of a sports drink? I also suggest to them that they put in a scoop of the key greens into a bottle of water. They're delicious. Key greens are full of great nutrients. It's great tasting. You could do a lemonade flavor, strawberry kiwi. So it satisfies that sugar craving. You've got a colorful drink to drink, iced. It's wonderful and delicious. So when I'm working with a teen, I often ask, what kind of breakfast cereal do you usually eat? I point out on the cereal label how much sugar was added and the carbs in that bowl of cereal. I know that 1 cup, I've got a box in my office, and 1 cup is 45 grams of carbs. You divide that by 4, and that's how many teaspoons of sugar that you get. A bowl of breakfast cereal may contain several teaspoons of sugar before you even add that sugar on top. So the next question for acne control or prevention is to find out if they'd be willing to give up cereal and maybe have eggs and sausage for breakfast. I usually suggest eggs and fruit because most teens freak out if you suggest eating broccoli or kale for breakfast. But they're willing to do blueberries, orange slices, grapes. The sweet potato wedges recipe on our website is also a winner for teens and adults. Who doesn't love some sweet potato wedges? And there's options, right? It's not all for one.
Yep.
We have to tweak it to their palate and their taste. I have one Tina, and she really loves the egg bites that you get when you drive through Starbucks. Yeah. So we just came up with an egg bake recipe that she can make. And instead of dairy, we just increase the bacon because that just makes everything better.
Yeah.
Instead of the dairy, and she loves it.
A lot of times when I am working with teenagers, they sleep in as late as possible. So they're rushing out the door to get to school. And I often hear that they're not very hungry to eat something before they go to school. And then, of course, mid-morning, they're starving and it goes downhill from there.
It does.
So a smoothie can be a wonderful alternative. And that's been a fantastic option for a lot of teenagers if they're not willing to actually eat eggs or something like that for breakfast. And we have tons of smoothie recipes on our website, weightandwellness.com.
So we're going to take a short break and be right back with more discussion about acne prevention. So when we went to break, Brittany was talking about how smoothie is a great option. I love that plan. I agree with you 100%. I used it with my own teens. Made a smoothie every morning. I put it in a container that had a wide mouth or a big wide straw in there where their friends couldn't see what it was. A lot of times there were some greens in there and then friends would say, "Ooh, what is that?" But they would drink that whether they were on the bus and then
Mhm.
just shove it in their backpack, bring it home. We'd wash it and it was a do-over. We have a lot of recipes, like you said, on our website for those that we just encourage it to be dairy-free, which we'll talk a
Yes.
little bit about.
Yep.
So there is more to the story about sugar. We know that sugar is not great for the skin. And we talked about how processed carbohydrates like bread, soda, cereal, pasta, pizza, those special fancy drinks that you get when you go to a coffee house, all of these are sources of sugar. So it can be a daunting task, but if you are truly just embarrassed and mortified by the acne, I think that there are always options that you can go to the coffee house with your friends, but get something else, such as a
Mhm.
tea or black coffee.
Yeah, and I've had many instances where I talk about that with teenagers and I look up exactly what they order
Mm-hmm.
and we see how much sugar is in it and
It's
they're
great.
appalled. And right then and there, it's okay. They're fine with making a different choice.
Yes. And then I'm sure you do the next step, like I do, is you look and see what is there that you could order
Yes.
and still feel like you're participating
Yeah.
without it being problematic.
Yeah. Because we're not asking them to give up social events. We just want to find better options.
So that they can look and feel their best
Yeah.
at the social event.
Yeah. And, the beauty of making these changes too is likely they're going to notice better athletic performance, better focus at school, more
Mhm.
energy. And the list goes on and on. So,
Mood is better, the
yeah,
PMS is better.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. I want to share a study published several years ago in the Archives of Dermatology that found that people who ate vegetables and meat living in New Guinea did not experience acne. They weren't eating sugar, they weren't eating processed food. They had a very simple diet of meat, vegetables, the healthy fat. And so that's what we're after here. Real food, getting that balance of protein, carbohydrates, and those healthy fats.
And when we say carbohydrates, we're talking about real food carbohydrates that
Mhm.
you can both plant and pluck in nature.
Yep. So vegetables, fruit, if they tolerate beans and things like that, those would all be great options. And of course, this is not going to happen overnight, this
Mhm.
change. But as they start to reduce, I'm guessing they're going to start to see their skin get clearer and then they see those results and it's motivating to continue too. And I think the tricky thing with skin is it's not immediate. It does take a little bit of time for the skin to clear up and the current breakouts to go away, preparing them for what to expect as
You
well.
have to give it more than a week or two.
100%. At least a month.
At least a month. And if it's women, girls, I ask them to go through at least 2 cycles because it takes time to bring that inflammation down.
Yeah.
But then they have an end date to look at. And we're not saying that you can never have these foods.
Yeah.
We're just saying,
Absolutely.
let's just show your teen the power of food by removing the inflammatory foods. See that they have control, then
Mhm.
they can choose. Is this
Yep.
important to me or not important to me?
Yep. Wonderful point.
So the skin needs healthy, good fats such as olive oil, butter, coconut oil, avocado oil, and healing fats that carry omega-3 fish oil, maybe some GLA like gamma-linolenic acid to support the good tissue. It seems counterintuitive to
Mhm.
say we want you to have healthy fats when you feel like you're oily,
Yep.
but that's not what's creating the oil problem.
Yep.
It's not the fat, the healthy fat that we're eating at all.
Exactly. And I have heard this countless times that people notice an improvement in their skin when they start eating more healthy fat. And your skin is more hydrated then, and your skin produces more oil when it's dry. So if your skin's more hydrated,
That's
then
a
you're
really good
going to
point.
be producing less oil.
Great point. I had a daughter that worked in, much to her mother's disdain, a fast food restaurant was one of her first jobs. And there is what teens don't realize is there's so much airborne oil
Yeah.
that has been put into the air. It's an inflammatory source of oil. They're not using good fats when they're frying French fries.
Definitely not.
And that dramatically affected her
Oh,
skin.
I bet.
I'm sure she was eating what the free food was.
Mhm.
And then on top of it, that airborne oil that is in the air affected her skin topically.
I can only imagine. And the healthy fats, those are crucial. You also need adequate protein as well. Animal sources of protein are the best quality, and most teens need 14 to 16 ounces a day, and especially if they're active.
I like that. 14 to 16 ounces a day. So if you're not getting breakfast, you're already behind the power curve
Yep.
of getting that volume in.
So that's going to include, 3 meals and at least a snack in there for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, for sure.
And if your teen is really active, they're probably going to need more than one snack in there just to refuel themselves.
But parents, here's the bonus. They're less crabby.
Yes.
When their blood sugar is stabilized with all that protein, they're just nicer humans.
Yep.
So, of course, teens, they also need a variety of vegetables and fruit. And vegetables and fruit can be cooked or raw, steamed, cooked with butter, sauteed, roasted, grilled on the grill. They can be put in a soup. In whatever way they will eat them, do it. A lot of times it's my kids, they were happy with a salad, and I would sneak vegetables in that smoothie.
There you go.
Yeah, easy. Another tip that I often offer teens who are really struggling with acne is that I suggest adding some beneficial probiotics. This is huge for the intestinal health. You mentioned their gut health is so critical. Your skin tells the story of your digestive health.
It really does.
And I first inquire about their bowel habits, much to their embarrassment, if they're willing to share. And then I explain that normal bowel habits is to have one a day. It shouldn't be urgent, shouldn't be straining.
Yep.
And it's very interesting when inquiring about bowel habits with teenagers because sometimes it's just not something they're willing to talk about, or they find out they're having 3 or 4 days without any. They think it's normal. I had one young guy, and poor thing, he was having 10 diarrhea stools a day, and he had never talked to anybody. He thought that was normal.
Oh, that's terrible.
So his life was, where's the bathroom? These are just indications of what good digestion is happening or not happening, which dramatically then affects your skin. So I love the master bacteria that we carry in our digestive system. It's 70% of our microbiome is bifido strains. Adding that before a meal, couple bifido, add some acidophilus, and sometimes that's enough to start turning the skin to a better texture and less breakouts.
Yeah. When you think about it, is one of the kind of traditional treatments for acne is going on an antibiotic. I did that myself, and taking a probiotic is a much better option because those antibiotics are going to kill off that bad bacteria contributing to acne, but also the good bacteria. So if you can balance out your gut by taking the bifido or other probiotics in addition to the real food, you're going to be much, much better off.
That antibiotic wipes out everything.
Yep.
And then that sets them up for a whole host of other problems that are much worse than acne.
Yep, for sure. I thought we would end our podcast today talking about 5 foods that can contribute or cause acne and breakouts. Starting with sugar, we've talked a lot about that. And essentially, foods with high amounts of sugar are going to spike our blood sugar, which creates inflammation in the body and can contribute to that acne. If your teen loves sugary desserts, maybe you offer them apple and peanut butter instead, or we have some homemade popsicle recipes on our website, or you can make like a faux ice cream with half a frozen banana and some canned coconut milk. It's delicious.
I love that.
It's
You can
so
do
good.
half, you want to do this on the sly, but half of an avocado, half of a banana, and some cocoa powder.
Oh, yes.
Whipped together. Great
That's
chocolate
tasty.
pudding. Number 2 on the foods list that cause acne breakouts would be dairy. Dairy is big.
It really is.
specifically milk and think cheese, but also whey. A lot of teens may be using whey protein powder.
Mhm.
I would suggest they would do like a paleo protein powder, which is from beef instead of whey. Want to avoid whey and casein. Those are the two culprits. Protein that's in milk that causes inflammation and ends up being a problem for acne.
What about fast food and acne? I mean, you talked about it a little bit, Melanie, about your daughter who worked in fast food. But no surprise here, research has found that regularly eating fast food has been correlated with an increased risk of acne.
Not just in teens.
Yeah,
Everybody,
everybody.
adult acne.
Totally.
We can tell when someone comes into the office, adults or kids, almost if fast food is as part of their busy
Mhm.
lifestyle because of their skin.
Yeah. Yeah. You talked about those refined oils. Those are a huge contributing factor. Not only do you have those refined oils, but basically everything at a fast food restaurant is going to have a high amount of carbohydrates, which turns to sugar. And of course, you add on that soda in there too, and even way more sugar with that. Eliminating the fast food is ideal without a doubt.
Yeah, no food comes through a window.
Nope.
So, what about chocolate? Does chocolate increase the risk of having acne? Several informal studies have linked eating chocolate with an increased risk of developing acne. I believe that it's probably more about the dairy in the chocolate and the sugar in the chocolate. In fact, one study found that acne prone men who consumed 25 grams of 99% dark chocolate daily had an increased number of acne lesions after just 2 weeks. So it could be there's something in the
Mm-hmm.
chocolate
Mm-hmm.
that's connected. The only way you're going to know is remove and challenge,
Yep.
right? Remove it for a while. Eating some chocolate once in a while, no one's going to burst into flames.
Nope.
But if you're trying to get that acne down and you want to see what causes acne, I would suggest removing it.
And it could be you focus on the sugar first. If your skin doesn't clear up, then maybe you tackle the chocolate after that and some of these other things that we're talking about.
That's a really good plan.
Yeah,
If chocolate is a big deal to you,
yeah,
which I could have cared less as a teen about chocolate.
yeah. But for some people, yeah, that's
But
a tough
cheese
one.
is hard.
Cheese is so hard.
Yeah.
It is so hard. Foods high in processed refined carbohydrates would be another group because, as we've explained, those all break down to sugar, creating that inflammation just like sugar does.
So let's talk a little bit about some lunch ideas that they
Mm.
can maybe take for lunch.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dinner ideas, that's easy. If it's real food, you can hunt it, you can pluck it,
Mm-hmm.
you can fish it. It's going to be real food. But lunch, school lunches, no.
Yeah,
Everything, there is just nothing out of school lunches that I have ever seen where I thought, hey, that's
Mhm.
healthy. That'll be great for a body or a teenager or growth or acne or blood sugar balance. It's
Yep.
just not real food anymore. There's a lot of tater tots, hot dogs on buns, and it's
Mhm.
just not what I would recommend.
This is top of mind because I packed my kids' lunch this morning and I did some nitrate free deli meat, and they don't care for anything in there, smeared on there, and rolled up. But if your kid does, you could do guacamole in there or some other type of dairy free dip.
Good mayo.
Yep, mayonnaise is great. And then you just roll that up and you have your healthy fat in there as well.
It's great. If they like vegetables, wrap it around some vegetables.
Yes, pickle.
Roll
Yep.
ups, they're great. I love too. Even my children liked even the cold meatballs
Mm-hmm.
with a buffalo dipping sauce,
Yeah,
ketchup,
perfect.
a low sugar ketchup like
Yep.
Primal Kitchen, mustard. I mean, they loved that. That was something they loved.
Easy.
We
Or-
have recipes on our website for pizza pocket and muff, and
Mhm.
I've used organic hot dogs in there. It tastes like a corn dog.
Yum. Yum, yum. Or hard-boiled eggs if they don't have eggs for breakfast. Sometimes I'll pack that.
Deviled eggs.
You know, deviled eggs would be great. Whatever vegetables on the side. I cut up some tomato and cucumber this morning. Blueberries with that. And then for their healthy fat, olives.
Yum.
Yeah. Or it could be leftover dinner. I've had some teenagers that will just bring their lunch in a thermos.
Mm.
And that's nice, especially in the winter. It's something warm. They don't have to spend the time warming it up.
Some chili in there.
Yeah.
Love that. Chili or hamburger soup.
There you go.
Yeah.
I think very important for your teen to have an afternoon snack. You get home from school. I remember this.
You're ravished.
Yeah, you're starving and you eat whatever's in sight.
Yes.
And if that's the case, then maybe it's a better idea to have their snack on the way home, riding the bus, or for sure before any sort of sports practice. We have like banana muffins on our website or carrot cake muffins, and it's protein powder, almond flour. So it's lower carb,
Maple
lower
syrup or
sugar.
sweetener. Yeah,
Yep.
really good. They're tasty and dense.
They are tasty. Peanut butter protein balls. And both of these options freeze really well too. So you could make a big batch of and just pop them in the freezer to pull out. It could be any combination of the things
Might
that
be
they had
peanut
at
butter,
lunch.
apple, and some beef sticks.
Yeah, that's easy.
Anything that they're willing to do. A lot of ideas. Starting places to remove the processed food, remove the dairy, remove the sugar. Those are key. Get them eating real food. It's a big deal. And lots of sleep, lots of hydration and water.
Yep.
No fast food for anyone ever at any time in any day of their life should they be eating fast food.
And they're setting themselves up for such better eating habits as an adult and being healthier. So it's a win all around.
And I hear mothers cry out there saying, you don't know, they're going to give me such grief. And this was the phrase I would use. I can't know what I know and love you like I love you and feed you food that will be harmful.
Mm-hmm.
And that was just the repeated mantra over and over until they quit asking because they were tired of hearing the same answer. But it's true.
Yeah, for sure. And I think with the acne, I have found that teenagers are really motivated to make the changes once they understand what the cause is or what could be contributing. Thank you so much for listening today, and we've provided many possible ways to approach reducing acne for your teens. And just remember, it could be a step-by-step process.
Our goal at Nutritional Weight and Wellness is to help each and every person experience better health through eating real food. It's a simple yet powerful message. Eating real food is life-changing. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you for joining us today.